Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is a high school football recap show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about him and all of our tremendous sponsors before the show. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll have a word from our sponsors during the show and after the show as well. You're watching us live on the YouTube channel. We are at Sports on Tap. Make sure you like and subscribe. Get those notifications when we are about to go live on the air. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at SOT Podcasts. That's where you're going to find all of our live updates for the games that we cover. We are also on Spotify at Sports on Tap. Make sure you also follow us on Facebook at Sports on Tap. And we are also, our website is sportsontap.podcast.com. Those of you with threads, we're also there at SOT_podcasts. Any questions, comments, concerns, pronunciations, suggestions, send those to sportsontap.podcast at gmail.com. And boys, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Regional championship week, boys. We had some great games over the course of the last few weeks. The regional semifinals just wrapped up, so we will be going over. Sean's got the PowerPoint going to be popping up here shortly, but we will be going over our 6 regions that we've been covering: Division 1, Region 1; Division 2, Region 5; Division 2, Region 6; Division 3, Region 9; Division 3, Region 10; and Division 4, Region 14. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Josh Jeffy, and Sean Duffy. Noah, Rob, and Josh are out and about this past weekend. Noah will be talking, his game of the week will be in Division 1, Region 1. Rob had Division 2, Region 6, and Josh had Division 2, Region 5. Later on in the show, we're going to be talking with Highland senior quarterback Dylan Borla and senior defensive lineman Carson Noonan. And we will be talking also with Avon junior defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon. I can't wait to talk to those student athletes. We've got a great show for you lined up. And then we'll talk about, we'll go through the regional finals here in a little bit and tell you about where we are going to be this coming Friday night. Boys, it's hard to believe we're 13 weeks in. There's only 3 weeks of football left. We got about 4 weeks left on this show when it comes to specifically high school football. We're well past the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Players of the Week contest. Right now, it's the cream of the crop, as the Macho Man Randy Savage likes to say, to the top. In all of our regions, literally all of them, without giving too much away, is a lot of chalk. The number 1 seeds, they're doing pretty well, at least in the 6 regions that we're covering, not to mention some of the other regions as well. So with that, let's get to the recaps. So we can let's get through that. Sean's going to pop those up on the PowerPoint. We will have Dr. Hoops. Noah Jacobson. He's going to take us through Division 1, Region 1, including his feature game of the week. The number 1 seed, Mentor Cardinals, taking on the number 5 seed, Canton McKinley Bulldogs. That game was in Medina High School, Noah's old stopping ground, so it was only fitting that he took that game. And he's got the recap. Noah, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ed. And yeah, it was a privilege being at the stopping grounds at my high school in Medina for this regional semifinal game between Mentor and Canton McKinley. And to start off with the game, I mean, Mentor had a couple opportunities in the first quarter, but it wasn't until Mentor's head coach, Coach Gray, called on his kicker, Dylan Tackett, the all-reliable kicker, hit a 41-yard field goal to begin the game with a 3-0 lead for the Cardinals. And then the Cardinals, they really had to try and get a couple opportunities here in the first half, boys. I mean, they couldn't do it. They missed the field goal, which would have gave them a 6-0 lead to close out the first half, but they would take a 3-0 halftime lead. And Coach Gray probably told his guys, like, hey, we couldn't put up some drives, and we need to do that in the second half. And they did that in the second half. They scored 28 points in the second half. It started off with Jackson Farley had a touchdown in the third quarter with 6:20 left to go in the game. They give that a 10-0 lead. And then Scotty Fox will have the first of his 2 rusty touchdowns of the night. One was a touchdown that would give him a 17-0 lead in the third quarter with 1:23 left to go. And then he would get a touchdown to Austin Van Huss with 6:05 left to go in the quarter. And then he would also have his second rusty touchdown in the game as the Cardinals would knock out Mentor Hit McKinley 31-0 to move on to the regional finals. Manor has outscored their opponents in the playoffs 95-7. That is just unbelievable of how Coach Gray and his team have really come into the playoffs, locking down opponents, and they are looking to get one coming up in this week. Manor running back Jackson Farley, what a night that he had. He had 25 carries for 169 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Justin Hodge had 3 catches for 35 yards. And Manor quarterback Scotty Fox had 98 yards for 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. And then after the game, I caught up with Coach Gray and Scotty Fox, and I told him, like, how reliable that offense really was in the second half. And it was. I mean, they were up 3-0 at the half. They really could compete to get some drives in the first half, and they really did, scoring 28 points, like I said, to get the 31-0 victory over Kent McKinley in the regional semifinals. They will move on to face St. Edward's in the regional finals.
And St. Ed's, the number 7 seed, and again, they are number 7 only in seed number only. We all know they are the reigning defending Division I state champions, and they go and they take out Perrysburg by a count of 40-24. The Eagles and the Cardinals doing battle. Let's go back to the Menor McKinley game here, Noah. As we talked about even last week against Strongsville and their first week against St. Ignatius, their offense gets all the headlines because they score a ton of points, but their defense has ratcheted up another level, another shutout of a very quality opponent in Canton McKinley. Talk about their defense as they have been progressing through this state playoff run.
Yeah, I think the defense really did. I mean, they got a couple turnovers. Obviously, in the second half, it was raining a little bit in the second half, which really progressed the ball to slip a few things for Canton McKinley. But Caden Clare, he had 5 solo tackles, forced 2 fumbles in the game, which really caused Canton McKinley to have a lot of those fumbles in the game. But Menor's defense continues to really shine. Obviously, Canton McKinley, they had a couple opportunities in that game, but it wouldn't stop Caden Clare and that defense to preserve a shutout victory against Canton McKinley. And they continue to be the team on defense in these playoffs and throughout the whole season. And they are looking to do that against St. Ed's in the regional finals coming up.
Menor's defense has been nothing short of phenomenal. Flip side of St. Ed's, I mean, they obviously play a very different schedule than pretty much anybody in the state of Ohio besides St. Ignatius. They're not, as you can tell in some of the games they've played, Perrysburg's very good. So, I mean, giving up 24 points to Perrysburg certainly there's nothing wrong with that. I'm looking forward to seeing how, this Menor offense humming with a 4-year starting quarterback in Scotty Fox, and a defense that is absolutely swarming against an old hat team that is St. Ed's. They're healthy now. They have, they obviously have the talent all over the place. We'll talk a little bit more about this game here in a little bit. But Noah, great job in Division I, Region 1. The Greater Cleveland Conference is still alive here in the state playoffs. All right, let's go to Division II, Region 5. And Josh had the game of the week here with Hoban and Nordonia, and he can take care of the first game between Walsh and Austintown as well. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. We'll go Walsh first. Pretty much Walsh continuing their dominance this season. 42-25 victory over Austintown Fitch. They move on, and they will play the winner of this featured game, which was Akron Archbishop Hoban. They came away with a 48-13 victory over Nordonia. Nordonia's magical season, unfortunately, has come to an end. Got to give credit to Hoban on this one. They, we're talking about, kind of everyone's talking about Walsh in Division II, but let's not forget about Hoban. In Week 10, they beat St. Ed's 24-21. So they are what the heck am I talking about? They are a really good football team. And that was evident in this game right here. Now, coming out of this game, like Noah mentioned earlier, in Medina, it was kind of raining, misty. Same thing in Barberton where this game was played. It was real misty, and that played havoc a little bit for Nordonia on the offensive end. several drop passes in the first half, easy catches that would have kept drives going. Just little mental mistakes that Nordonia just could not overcome in this ball game. Ben Chester in this game, we had him on last week talking about it. He seemed pretty confident. He was just getting hammered all night. Give credit to Hoban's defense. The Knights, Nordonia, because both teams are the Knights. Nordonia could not get anything going on offense through the air. At least Chester finished 12 of 24, 123 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions this one. Those 2 interceptions, along with a fumble, were 3 key turnovers that really hurt Nordonia in this game. The running game, though, was on point. Rocco DiLorenzo went over 100 yards, 104 yards in this game on 21 attempts. Liam Kuntz had a rushing touchdown in this one. Kylan Osby would also have a touchdown, but those are the only 2 points only 2 touchdowns that the Knights would be able to score in this game. I mentioned those miscues again. Nordonia had 12 penalties in this game for 139 yards. Hoban only had 4 penalties for 40 yards. And, when you're talking about when you're playing a team like Hoban, you need to be playing fundamentally good football. Nordonia was 5 of 14 on 3rd downs. They were 1 and 5 on 4th down. So really just mistakes all around the board, just enough mistakes where Nordonia could not, again, overcome. But one player that was really running the show for Hoban was sophomore running back Brayton Feaster. He's a 4-star recruit in this game. 25 carries, 289 yards, and 5 touchdowns. This dude is a beast, and he is only a sophomore, 6'3", 230 pounds. He also plays linebacker. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of this fine young gentleman as we move on here over the next couple of years. He's going to get a lot of attention from the next level, but really good, just dominating effort. And Nordonia just could not overcome, like I mentioned, the mistakes on this one. They were down 13-0 after the first. They were down 27-6 at halftime. One positive note, it's very rare to have an onside kick be successful in a game. Riley Edgehouse for Nordonia actually had 2 in this game, and both those onside kicks actually caught Hoban off guard a little bit. It was mentioned in the Akron Beacon Journal how it was unbelievable how well they did with those onside kicks, and the Knights, Nordonia, were able to recover. But other than that, just a tough all-around game for Nordonia. It was a tough end to their season. After the game, according to Akron Beacon Journal, reading the article, their recap, seeing a lot of the players were down about the loss, but they felt very, very positive about how the season went. I mean, granted, they were the 3rd seed in Division II Region 5. They had a great season. They finished 2nd in the Suburban Natty. So those are just some really good positives from this season. Coach Chef Fox did a really good job with this team, and they do have a young quarterback coming up that we'll be talking about going into next year. Because Ben Chester is a senior. He will be graduating, but it's going to be looking forward. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but looking forward to that Division II regional final between Walsh and Hoban. It's going to be an awesome game.
Josh, a great job in the coverage there with Nordonia. To your point there, just a great season, and looking at the last 4 teams that were in the playoffs for Division II Region 5. Even had they won those games against Wadsworth and Hudson, you may have just flipped the seeds, but they were going to have to run through this exact path anyways. And
correct.
At best, they may have been able to have a battle against Austintown Fitch and a potential 1-4 matchup or a 2-3, depending on how things shook out. But the road was going to run through either Hoban or Wash Jesuit at some point in time for Nordonia. So, I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't, to your point, it doesn't take away from the regular season. It was a great regular season, a great run through the playoffs. The top 4 teams in this region survived. So you're going to get a really, really good team at this stage of the game here. And if you're too many penalties, and even giving yourselves 2 extra possessions with the onside kicks, we all know how good Hoban is. Hoban's lost a few games more than we're used to seeing them lose, but they're still Hoban, and you got to play you got to play an A+ game against them to give yourselves a shot.
And I can't emphasize the point enough. Early in this game, when the game was still, a lot of game left to play, the drop passes that really were crushing. Those are the kind of plays that in a high stake playoff game, those are the kind of plays that if you don't have the talent level as your opponent, that if you don't make, it's going to be really hard for you to come back from. And just between those drop passes and the turnovers, mostly in that first half, it was just too much for Nordonia to overcome.
Well, and Nordonia representing the Natty, really, really good season. So great job by the Knights.
Absolutely.
To your point, we'll see. We're looking forward to seeing what Nordonia is going to do in 2025. All right, let's shift over to Division II, Region 6, and we have a couple people who's going to work on this one here. We have from the Suburban League American Conference, the champions of that conference, the Highland Hornets. They took on number 3 seed White House Anthony Wayne. And Sean, why don't you take this one away for us?
Thank you, Ed. And Highland secures their spot in the regional final with a 38-14 victory over White House Anthony Wayne. The second straight year they've beaten White House Anthony Wayne in the semifinals to get to the regional finals. Who are they going to play in the finals? We'll see. Rob will talk about that. But let's talk about the Highland Hornets. Highland quarterback Dylan Borla, future guest tonight, had himself a game, folks. 13 of 13, 232 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, also ran in a touchdown. Those 2 touchdown passes were to a couple of his favorite targets, Luke Berkmeyer and Nick Dubkowski, each with a touchdown grab. Borla continues to add to his school record touchdown total for the year. Highland running back Casey Miser, also having a historic run, had put in a very solid performance, guys. 23 carries, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That's it? Oh man,
that's it. I know. We expect mountains of touchdowns from Casey Miser. He got tired, but listen, if you're an opponent of Highland, you got to pick your poison now, because Dylan Borla carved up Anthony Wayne in this game, and it was insane. Highland's defense is something we need to talk about here, because Anthony Wayne came into this, I think, average rating right around 35, 36 points a game. I didn't do the math correctly, possibly. Holding a team like White House Anthony Wayne to 14 points in a regional semifinal game is an impressive feat, and we need to start taking this Hornets defense seriously. Now there's a possibility of a rematch here, and it's not like we weren't taking it seriously before. Possibility of a rematch with Avon, and if and when, and if you can see from the score, that's likely going to happen. This is a rematch from last year's regional final, and that game was a 28-14 loss for the Hornets. Some would argue their defense is much better this year. And if you have a close game like that with a team like Avon, we got ourselves a battle of the juggernauts going into this regional final. But Highland will face the number 1 seed Avon in the Division II Region 6 for a second straight year, again looking to avenge that loss from last year. But guys, I gotta throw this to Rob so he can tell me about what we can expect from the Eagles here, because we got ourselves a way better matchup than we had last Friday night. If you watch Netflix and that ridiculous thing, boxing match, this is actually a lot more fun to watch and will likely not buffer out on you if you can get it on Spectrum.
Yeah, and our show, too, we're probably not going to get knocked out as we live stream this show right now. It'll stay on, and you'll be able to hear every word we say about the high school playoffs here. But great job, Sean. And Highland's an improved every year. They get better and better, it seems like, and they just have the talent to just keep retooling. In this game with Avon taking on Wadsworth, this was played at Strongsville High School. And Avon, Coach Elder must have said something to his team, because they were really pumped up to begin the game. They made a statement early, as there were a lot of hard hits, and they turned the ball over early. And we'll go to the video now and show you some of the highlights from this game. Avon, they came out and some big hits early on, forced a fumble and a turnover that set up Avon's offense early on a short field. It was a 25-yard touchdown pass by quarterback Nolan Good to wide receiver Grant Barr. The extra point was good there. Then again, Avon's offense, they went down the field in a 15-yard touchdown run by quarterback Nolan Good. This time, though, the extra point was no good, so after one quarter, it was 13-0. Then with just over 9 minutes left in the half, the Eagles would strike again. This time, it was a 32-yard run by running back Queonte Smith. The extra point was good. It was 20-0 at this point, and just when you thought, Avon might run away with it, Wadsworth then eventually got on the board. And finally got on the board with a big-time strike. It was a 15-yard pass from Bryson Hall to running back Cooper Gray. And just like that, it was a 20-7 game at halftime. So that was a big strike right before half for Wadsworth because Avon, they were really cruising. You could see this touchdown pass to Barr there from Nolan Good. And Nolan Good had his hands all over this game. I mean, he was tough to stop running the football. He had 102 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns and had 171 yards passing and a touchdown. But in this game, the second half is what was impressive. Avon came out in the second half and outscored Wadsworth 21-3. Scores by running back Michael Coburn, 44-yard run by quarterback Nolan Good. And then Tyler Kaufman had a nice run up the middle for a big score. For Wadsworth, they did get a 21-yard field goal by kicker Jack Dinwiddie. But in this game, it was just too much Avon. And the defense, give credit. And I'm excited to talk to Jakob Weatherspoon, a 4-star. He's getting recruited by a lot of Big Ten schools out there. And you can see why. I mean, this Avon defense has players making plays. Not just him, but there's a lot of other players all over the place forcing turnovers. And they fly to the ball. So they held a really good Wadsworth offense to 10 points. But Avon wins 41-10 in this game. And as Sean said, they will play Highland in the regional final. That game played at Elyria High School, a great place to watch football. So if you want to see a good football game, I know you're going to want to see our Professor Hype on the sidelines. If you want to see him, get some pictures with him, autographs, he'd love to go out and be a man of the people there. He will be at that game.
Please don't put that pressure on me. Please don't put that pressure. It's hard enough to take video and do Twitter. I don't have time for that. Listen, I love the people. And I will sign out, but I'm working down there, Rob.
I know. I figured you'd get a little scared. That was the point of that.
Just because you run for mayor of every high school you go to.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, Hey, a lot of compliments. I want to thank everybody, actually, that came up to me. I had a player from Wadsworth come up to me, and he also wanted to say what a great job everybody on the show did. We had Nolan Good. He was excited to be on our show last week. Coach Elder thought, the interviews we do are going really well. So I'm happy people are watching and like and love what we do. And it, hearing from everybody and complimenting us, that's kind of why we do it. We do it for the high school kids out there, and hopefully they have some fun with it.
We do it just for compliments. That's what we do.
Yeah, compliments and the kids.
Clear all we need. We have massive egos, and it needs to be fed.
So just quickly going back to the game, Rob, good job with the coverage, and you mentioned it. Avon's defense, give them a lot of credit because they held Wadsworth offense to only 10 points, and give credit to Avon's offense because Wadsworth defense is no slouch. And for them to put up 41 points against them is really well. Just from the Wadsworth point of view, Bryson Hall, freshman quarterback, kind of been struggling the last few games of the regular season and into the playoffs, but this experience is really good for him and the team. As we talk to Coach Todd and as we see every year, Wadsworth's one of those teams that plays a lot of underclassmen every year, and they play key positions, and they play a lot. And this playoff experience now in Division II is going to be very beneficial to them. And I think it's only going to help them grow and be a much better program. After the game, I was reading the Medina Gazette, and Coach Todd, said he would like to model what they do, some of the things they do after Avon. and I'm paraphrasing a little bit because Avon's obviously one of the top public school programs in the state. They have been for many years, and Wadsworth is well on their way to being that as well, especially the last few years. So even though this game did not go well for them, starting off early, being down early, this is a great building block for experience and continue to build their program to the way that they need to keep going with their success in the Suburban Natty every year.
Well, I do want to say too, the weather was not great in this game. For the first 3 quarters, it was raining pretty hard and good. Every time I go to Strongsville, it's almost part monsoon out there, and that's what we had, and it kind of favored Avon a little bit with their running game and dominating the line of scrimmage. But like I said, that took a little bit of the passing out of it for the most part, and there was some passing in the fourth quarter that it cleared up, and the field obviously stayed in great shape, but it was a little slick out there, so it did hamper some of the offense there by both teams. But it's just Avon's defense was tough. They were flying to the ball. They made some big plays and some turnovers early, and they capitalized on a short field. You give Avon a short field, and they'll put up some points, and that's exactly what happened.
Hey, great job, guys, on the coverage for Division II, Region 6. We have another tremendous battle, which we'll talk about here soon. We don't want to skimp on time when it comes to talking about that. In fact, we'll be talking to 3 of the players that will be partaking in the Division II Region 6 Championship. Again, here in about 13 minutes, we'll be talking with Highland quarterback Dylan Borla, defensive lineman Carson Noonan, and then Avon defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon, who is a junior. All right, let's go. We'll wrap it up here. Division III, Region 9. Sean had the Aurora Green Men taking on Youngstown, Ursuline, and then the other side, you had Gilmore taking on CVCA. Sean, take it away for Division III, Region 9.
Thank you, Ed. And we'll start with that 2-3 matchup. Gilmore Academy ekes out a win over CVCA 35-28 to punch their ticket to the Division III Region 9 semifinals. On the other side, we had the number 1 seed, Youngstown Ursuline, taking on, you know them, you love them, from the American Division of the Suburban League, the Aurora Green Men. And all was going well for Aurora for the first 3 quarters. They held. At the end of the third quarter, they had a 10-9 lead after scoring a 6-yard touchdown from Ryan Dwyer to Ben Lukasik, and then a 35-yard field goal from Colin Dockman. And then Ursuline apparently woke up in the fourth quarter, scoring 20 unanswered points to get the 29-10 victory over Aurora. Listen, we talked about a couple of things here when we talked about playoff football. And I think the big thing is don't put yourself in a position where you can lose this game. And I think Aurora may have found themselves in that position, particularly with turnovers. Ryan Dwyer did have a touchdown pass this game, but also threw 2 interceptions, a couple of those interceptions coming late in the game when they're trying to kind of stem the tide a little bit from Ursuline or get back on the board. But unfortunately, Youngstown Ursuline is the number 1 seed, and they're there for a reason, taking nothing away from Aurora. Aurora's had a great season. But again, we talk about when you step up in the playoffs and you get to this area, which Aurora is used to being here, you kind of see that, okay, that delineation between these teams here. I think Aurora, was dominant for the first couple weeks of this playoff run. But has now run into a team that's legitimately probably the best team in this region, if not a legit state contender. But they held their own for 3 quarters and had a 10-9 lead. But unfortunately, again, that's a hard row to hoe when you're talking about 4 perfect quarters of football against a team. And that's something that's very difficult for any team to do, to play perfect for 4. I mean, every coach will tell you that's what they're trying to do. Again, Aurora does finish the season 11-2 overall. They are the runner-up in the Suburban League American Division. Their only 2 losses coming to Youngstown Ursuline and Highland. Both of those teams are in the regional finals. Take what you will from that, but I would say a very successful season. Probably not by the standards that Aurora has. That's what we love about Aurora. They have very high standards there. But again, congratulations to Youngstown Ursuline, who, let's be honest, got punched in the mouth and were being held in check for most of that game, and then figured out a way to pour it on there late in the fourth quarter, and they get the win, and now they get a matchup against a very good Gilmore Academy team. This is going to be a fun regional final to monitor. If you have the opportunity to go watch that game, I think that's going to be a fun game to watch because I think these two teams are evenly matched.
I agree, Sean. Great job by Aurora. To your point, I mean, you wonder. I would say the same thing with Aurora happened with Nordonia. Even if Aurora would have defeated Highland at the end of week 10, these four teams were to be in there regardless. It was just a matter of what seed they would have fallen into. So either way, all four of those teams are fantastic teams. So either they're going to run into Ursuline or a very tough CBCA or a very good Gilmore Academy squad. I don't think you can help but think how different it would have looked if Aurora's best player hadn't gotten hurt and was able to participate in this game. Hard to say if that would have turned the tides completely, but it doesn't take anything away from Aurora's playoff run and even getting to this point.
No, it doesn't. And just to emphasize that point, Ed, you look at the production on both sides of the ball from a Lucas Manderbach. Obviously you're going to see the fall off there, but credit the Aurora football, the running back room. Tommy Tardabini had 105 yards rushing in this game. Just couldn't get into the end zone. Xavier Board, all these guys have been playing well each and every week. It's just unfortunately now we're running into, you got to win and you got to play perfect, and they just didn't when it mattered most. And your heart breaks for them. But this is the state playoffs, and this is what happens. But congratulations to Aurora on a great season, and obviously Coach Mahalik will have them probably back right where they were, if not further next year.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately for Sports on Tap, it is going to conclude our participation in Division III Region 9, but we will be continuing to talk about that game along with a couple of the other regions that we had participation in. That includes Division III Region 10. Unfortunately, Buckeye and Rocky River from the Cleveland West Conference got knocked out last week. Let's start with the number one seed, the Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish. They took. Tell you what, Lexington, not bad. Pretty good showing by Lexington, by the Minutemen, from down in the Mansfield area. 35-7, Central Catholic gets the Duke there, and for Lexington, we've talked about the expanded playoffs for a few years now, and you wonder how valuable is it? Well, a team like Lexington got hot at the right time, and they won 2 games in the playoffs, and they would not have gotten that shot had the playoffs not expanded. So good on the Minutemen. Congratulations to them on a good season. They took out Rocky River last week, and they earned their spot, and I think they acquitted themselves pretty well against a very good Toledo Central Catholic squad, the defending Division III state champions. In the other semifinal, this was a battle between two Catholic schools between Padua and number 3 seed Benedictine. Padua, they do not waste their opportunity. They defeated Buckeye last week in the 2-7 matchup. They defeated the Cleveland West Conference champions in the last minutes, and they did not let that go to waste. 42-28 victory over Benedictine for Benedictine's senior running back Chris Maloney. 22 carries, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really, really good showing there. Well, for Padua, it starts and it ends with Rod Love. Love was a monster in this game. 31 rushes, 254 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Man.
4 touchdowns. Their passing game was able to get them over the hump against Buckeye. This week it was all about Roderick Love, and the thing is that teams know that they need to stop this guy, and they still can't stop this guy. So we'll talk about the Toledo Central Catholic Padua game here in a little bit, but that is going to set up the Division III Region 10 championship game. And then in Division 4, Region 14, boy, couple good games here. As we mentioned before, the 13th seed Napoleon, they defeated Bay last week. They came up to Bay and shut them out, and they They did about as good as any team can do against Sandusky Perkins. Sandusky Perkins is an absolute juggernaut, and Perkins gets a 35-21 victory over Napoleon. Napoleon again, they take full advantage of the fact that they are a very low seed, and they were able to get into the playoffs, and they did some damage. I mean, their only losses, looking at their season before they lost to. Well, I'm looking at the wrong year. Sorry, I was looking at 2023 for some reason. Let me pop back that on there now. I mean, their only losses are to a 13-0 Liberty Center. They're still playing. Anthony Wayne, they just lost to Highland. No shame there. Toledo, Oregon Clay, Bowling Green. So they've had some good opponents on their schedule. But Sandusky Perkins, they're on another level. Their only loss is to a 13-0 Edison team who is currently still playing. The other one, Shelby, Ontario. Good God. I kind of wish I did a recap for this one, because quite honestly, I didn't. They're not particularly in our area. They were down by the Mansfield area. I have to mention this game was on the Mansfield channel, but 49-48, Ontario gets the win over Shelby. Man, that's one of the better games you're going to see in this battle here. This was a rematch where Ontario lost to Shelby by a score of 50-36 in week 9. So these guys had about a month off before playing each other, and Ontario they took full advantage and they get the win, 49-48. That's going to set up Sandusky Perkins versus Ontario, and we'll tell you where that game's going to be here in a little bit. So that's going to wrap it up for our recaps for Week 13 and regional semifinal matchups. And we have a lot to talk about with the regional championship game, where we are going to be next week, and obviously coming up next, we will be having Highland quarterback Dylan Borla and defensive lineman Carson Noonan, then followed up by Avon defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon. They're going to join us here shortly as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll go get a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we will hear from the Highland Hornets as they prepare to take on Avon in the Division II Region 6 Championship. This is the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. We appreciate him and all of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
Germer.
Welcome back to the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show, presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about him and all of our tremendous sponsors right before the break. Make sure you stick around after the show to hear another word from all of our sponsors, especially Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. Again, the main sponsor of the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Josh Jeffy, Sean Duffy, Noah Jacobson, and Rob Troutman. And we are joined by two tremendous student athletes from the Suburban League American Conference champion Highland Hornets. We are joined by seniors quarterback Dylan Borla and two-way lineman Carson Noonan. Carson, Dylan, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, so let's start with Carson here. Mostly because he jumped on first. No offense, Dylan. You're the quarterback. You get a ton of pub. Just kidding. Carson, and Dylan, the same question will go for you. A really tough game against White House Anthony Wayne. I mean, they've started to become pretty familiar foes from Highland over the course of the last few years. But you guys handled them pretty well. What were some of the things that you guys were looking for when you guys were preparing for White House Anthony Wayne, and how did it play out in the game for you?
I mean, the biggest thing we knew we had to do was stop the run. They had the quarterback. I think he was committed to Colgate. He's a big D1 guy. I mean, he's a runner. He's fast. We knew we had to lock him down. We had to lock the run down. That's what was going to help us win the game, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, for offensive-wise, we kind of go in through week by week with like a faceless opponent. We get ready, we prep just as we would any week, and we just see what they ran, look at their coverages, and we play like any other team we would play.
Yeah, guys, I mean, following you this year, because I cover the American division for the Suburban League, the word I've been using is historic, and that's not just stats, that's not just its performance, specifically on your guys' defensive side of the ball. Carson, can you talk a little bit about what that mentality is from game 1 to now game 13 has been for you guys? Has it been something that's been evolving over the season, or has it been the same and you guys are just, picking up where you left off from last year?
I mean, yeah, it's just always murder, death, kill. We got to be the most physical on that.
I love it.
On that line. Winning that line of scrimmage is the biggest thing, and that's what we strive for.
Well, I can attest to it. When I got to see the Aurora game, there was a lot of murder, death, and kill all over that field. Dylan, I also want to say congratulations. We read off your stats from last week's game. Perfect 13-13, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. But you're also the school record holder for touchdowns in a season, correct?
Yep.
How has that been? I know you and Casey Meiser are kind of both knocking out of the park these statistics. What's been the mentality on the offensive side of the ball with you guys? Is it literally just 1 week, whatever team is, focusing maybe on stopping the run, you guys find a way to do things in the passing game, or is it more of a scheduled plan going in?
You're exactly right on that. It's kind of more of, if they want to stack the box and try to stop the run, we'll make them pay. We'll pass the ball over them.
Carson, I mean, your guys' defense has been phenomenal. I mean, this year, like 5 shutouts, only giving up 8 points per game. But just kind of talk about what's your guys' mindset been so far throughout the playoffs and throughout the regular season as far as, like, you defenses, you get ready for a big game coming up on Friday against Avon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we got to make sure everyone does their job to the just 100%. If everyone does their job, I mean, there's no way of losing. It's just being especially for the D line, it's just being the most physical on there, doing your job, filling your gaps. Linebackers filling their gaps too. It's just everyone doing their job, and there's just no way we can lose.
This question would be for both of you because we see it now. If you watch the professional team that's in this area with a lack of communication, and you guys are both on offense and defense for Highland. Really putting up solid numbers. The defense, Carson, not giving up many points, and Dylan scoring a lot of points at will. But can you just talk about, for both sides of the ball, how important communication is and how that is built, through your time in the Highland program and how it is once you finally get on that field on the varsity level, how important the communication is between the coaches, you guys on the field, and then the players on the field.
Yeah, especially O-line. I mean, just seeing these fronts change from odd, even, seeing stunts. We always got to communicate between guard, tackle, center. We always got to call out certain blitzes and just be aware of certain things. And I think that's something we do really good at.
Yeah, like Carson said, I get to play back in time to our huddle. We break it out so we have enough time for our line to communicate, get enough time before that play clock's down to 0. So they can talk, communicate, if the snap cadence is on a different thing or we have motion, we all communicate that on the same page so we don't have any stupid mistakes.
Yeah, I think, one thing I've noticed is Coach Gibbons does a great job with both sides of the ball and special teams, and I think he does a great job with communication, and so you guys going into the games understand exactly what your roles are for each game, because I know you guys are always fundamentally sound. You don't make a lot of mistakes. But my question is, for both of you guys, Highland has such a rich history. You guys always have great players coming up. And I'm sure you were in the youth program at one point. Were there any players that you guys looked up to when you were younger and said, you know what, I wanna be on that field on Friday nights and I want to be like him? Was there any players that you guys looked up to, when you were playing youth ball in Highland and you saw some of the players go through the system?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was certainly young, I didn't necessarily know any of the players' names, but boy, was I excited to watch them play, and I wanted to be like them when I grew up. I wasn't so on for, what they said or what they did, but how they played and, how they represented themselves really made me excited, wanted me to be like them when I grew up.
Yes, I'm going to say the same thing as Dylan really said. Just watching, I didn't really know many of the names, but watching the D-line, the O-line play and how they talked, communicated, just their attitudes, it motivated me to get to where they were.
Yeah, and I noticed too, you guys have youth nights too at Highland, so you have a lot of young kids watching you guys play on Friday nights, and I'm sure they see you guys and see how good and impressed they are with what you guys have done under Coach Gibbons, and it's a lot of fun when you're a young kid watching a game. I think you guys do it the right way, and our leaders out there, and so far you guys have had a lot of success in the Highland program. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely special. I still remember being on that field those youth night, wearing my jersey and looking up to all these guys and just giving them high fives as they walk through to go into the field house at halftime. I mean, it's a special thing, and we try to do the same thing to the younger kids now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely makes us proud, knowing that what we looked up to those guys, those young guys look up now to us, knowing that we still carry on that what we felt.
You guys can admit it. You guys can admit it. Walking through, school, walk through the classrooms, the hallways. You guys were, wearing your Letterman's jackets or your hoodies with, let's say, whatever playoffs or your jerseys. You guys think you're the big BAs around campus, right? Around the school, like you know.
No.
Not really.
Listen, Josh, I gotta believe, based on what I've seen, I don't think any of them think that. I think they just want to get out there and play football because that's all they. I mean, they have a mindset that I really haven't seen in a while. Is their business, man? It's business on that sideline.
Well, what was it? Murder, death, kill.
MDK,
Murder, death, kill.
Murder, death, kill. That's right.
I'm pretty sure that's a reference to Demolition. Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
Good
underrated movie.
Movie.
Yeah, good call. I mean, that's a good slogan to live by, and I'll be honest with it, kind of took me off guard tonight. But I'm going to go on my day tomorrow, my work day tomorrow, with that same mind frame and see what happens.
It's going to work for you.
Thanks.
This is we're man. Okay, talk with defensive lineman Carson Noonan. I want to see if he's got any more Demolition Man references up his sleeve. And along with Dylan Borla, quarterback from the Highland Hornets. Gentlemen, the interesting thing about last week's game, obviously Casey Miser, all-world running back, and we're used to seeing him just gash teams for chunks on the ground. We're used to seeing him have 200 plus yards on the ground. Now, Anthony Wayne, I'm not going to say they shut him down because I don't think he really shut him down, but he wasn't able to get as many of those long runs as we're used to seeing for him. So I have to think that as much attention as they paid to shutting him down, how much did that open things up for you, Dylan, and even for for Coach Gribble as he's kind of seeing what's going on here? What kind of he's seeing them maybe sell out for the run, and he's seeing, okay, what plays can I run to? Where are my opportunities here? Talk a little about how that game unfolded from you offensively when you're able to be perfect. The ball never hit the ground, literally never hit the ground. So talk about how that offensive game plan came to be in the middle as you guys were making adjustments.
Yeah, we obviously throughout the week, even starting on Monday or Tuesday, we always prepare for those situations, knowing that we're going to maybe have these third down and longs that we have to convert. We have to have these certain plays to be ready for, and we certainly had those situations. And Carson, all those guys on the line. I had zero pressures to throw the ball. No one even came close to me to throw the ball. And, that makes it even a better place for me and the wide receivers to execute what we wanted to do.
I gotta say, I was a coach at Brunswick for a while too, and I've seen I've seen firsthand just the things that Highland can do offensively, where just you think you have him stopped, and then before you know it, there's a wide receiver or a running back come out of the backfield who's wide open, and you wonder what happened, like what do we miss a coverage here? And it's just really great coaching on Highland's part, on your guys' part, really, to scheme that up. You notice something that maybe drew the defense in, and you're like, all right, we got him on the next time we're doing this, we got him.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We have these certain plays that it may look like exactly like the play we just ran, but nope, it's a different play. It'll catch you off guard.
Guys, we'll get you out of here on this. Obviously, big game this week. I mean, we're talking playoffs, talking regional final, we're talking rematch. I don't need to set the stage. I'm sure the stage has been set for you guys, but for both of you, what is some of the things? I know you guys are early on in your prep work. Without giving too much away, obviously we don't want you to give away the game plan. What are some of the things you guys have seen from Avon this year that you can build off of from your experience last year? That you need to, focus on, or even, maybe something you guys weren't expecting.
I mean, yeah, they got some athletes. I've been watching a lot of film on them. They got some decent O linemen, D linemen. It's gonna be hard to block up front, but we're gonna get the job done.
yeah, just looking at, their secondary for me personally, they have a lot of talent as well. And, they keep stepping up every year. But I think, we stick to our game plan, we stick to what we do and we'll be just okay.
Is spoken like a true Coach Gibbons coach team. That's when I'm the first time I heard you talk, Carson, I thought it was Coach Gibbons kind of reincarnated in the form of you. Not only with the murder, death, kill thing, but just generally just your general demeanor on things. And Dylan, I think you kind of take on more of the Coach Gribble side, where he's more cool, calm, collected, and it's a good balance there. So with that, gentlemen, best of luck to you this week against Avon. Thanks for taking time to join us, and we really look forward to covering you guys this week and this year. I know Sean has seen you guys. We've seen you guys play all year. So congratulations on what you've accomplished so far, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
That is Highland quarterback Dylan Borla and offensive lineman Carson Noonan joining us here on Sports on Tap.
Ed, good call with the Carson and Gibbons. That was like I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
As he was talking, his demeanor sounds actually exactly like him.
Yeah, it was almost startling actually.
How great is that murder, death, kill? I mean, it's not exactly PC, and I'll grant you that, but that's a great mentality to have if you're playing football.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to play.
Yeah,
I guess it's refreshing to hear. It's refreshing to hear that to a certain point, especially in today's times. Versus even 10 years ago, probably I don't think anyone would have batted an eye at that. But those guys, they got a really, really good thing going on with Highland here, and as our next guest is going to be Jakob Weatherspoon from Avon. Whenever he's ready to join us, he can pop on. Sean, being that you've covered you're the Highland guru on the team here. Offensively, they are setting records for how many points they score. How many different ways? We talked about it. White House Anthony Wayne didn't exactly shut down Casey Miser, but they limited him, and that did not stun Highland one bit.
No, and that's the scary thing. If you're Avon right now, because the response, the versatility in that offense, and again, he even said it. Yeah, Dylan. I think Dylan did mention this. Not all the plays all look the same, but there's little variations, and that's where we talk about the difference between a great team and a great program. You're seeing two teams or two programs going against each other on Friday in Avon and Highland, and it's going to be those little wrinkles that they can put in. It may look like a play they've seen 1,000 times on film, but there may be a little bit of a wrinkle. But let's also not forget there's athletes out there. There's really good talent on both sides of the ball here. And when you look at Highland each week, they tend to do something. They get their points when they can, but they do something that we're not necessarily expecting. And last week was the same way. Dylan Borla has not put up those types. Has not had a perfect game all year. He didn't need to because he had that option. And when he did need to show up, he showed up, and he was able to kind of help lead his team to a victory there, which is saying something about the versatility in that offense.
And one of those players for Avon is going to be trying to stop the high-powered Highland offense. We are joined by junior defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon, coming off their victory over Wadsworth in the Division II Region 6 semifinals. Jakob, thanks for taking time to join us tonight.
Of course. How y'all doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. What a great win over a very, very tough Wadsworth team.
Mm-hmm.
Just generally speaking, your schedule has been, specifically your non-conference schedule. You guys have gone against some teams. With Glenville, McKinley, Ignatius. I mean, they're 1-10, but we all know the schedule that they play. I mean, that's not an easy game to start.
No, it's not. Yeah.
So we'll take a step back before we go forward. We'll try to go back to those games. I mean, you're looking at as you're preparing for that non-conference slate, and then you got Southwestern Conference, which is we have fought the meat grinder because any team can beat you at any point in time. But I know you take it 1 week at a time, but you're looking at Ignatius, McKinley, Glenville. Out the offseason, knowing that was coming up, take us through those first 3 weeks and the preparations for those teams that were going to do some damage in the playoffs themselves.
Definitely, yeah. So coming in, we knew we had Nations Week 1, Brown Stadium, big game for us. A lot of us, we never got to experience that. So we wanted to go in, make sure we have fun, but we want to be Simon style locked in, of course, because the Nations, they got some athletes, man. But, I think we watched a lot of film. That's what we do a lot, is watch a lot of film. We were able to shut them down quick, so that was good. Everybody had a good time, which is good, And then we took it to Glenville week 2, home game. That was our home opener, I think. I believe it was our home opener. And then, we had rain. A lot of rainfall, which, it changed the way the game went a little bit. So, 13-12, and it wasn't the outcome we wanted, but, a win's a win. So, and then McKinley, they got a little team out there, but, he handled business for them, definitely.
Yeah, and then with that too, so you get through the non-conference, obviously a very tough conference schedule. Playoff wise, Olmsted Falls punched you in the mouth pretty efficiently.
Yeah,
you guys were able to come back from that, and then Wadsworth, they started a freshman quarterback, but at times it doesn't look like a freshman. So now in the playoffs, let's talk about last week specifically. What were some of the things that you saw that Wadsworth was able to do well on film that you were specifically trying to stop on defense?
Yeah, they definitely they had that little sprint draw play when the quarterback would go to the other side, hand it off to the back, and we saw that a lot. And we saw the running back, he was very elusive. He got through once he was going. So we knew if we shut that down, then that could close things up. So they had to go to something else. And then we know they had number 7 was a great player for him. And so we know that if we could shut him down, also the game would have went our way. And then they had a couple more running backs, but I think once we figured out what they were doing, once they figured out how we were doing it, I think we got it going pretty good.
Jakob, I got the opportunity to watch you guys now twice live, and what I've noticed, I think the most, especially in the secondary, is how well you guys are just coached on fundamentals, and specifically you. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been a couple of things that you wanted to focus on this year as far as your technique has been, because obviously being a junior, you want to obviously take that next step, and you are getting the looks from the Division I schools. What's some of the things that you really focused on coming into this year and worked on throughout the season?
Yeah, definitely in the off season, I knew that my footwork, I knew that was one of my parts where I struggled at. So that's what I tried to work at a lot. But you can only do so much in footwork for it to translate in the game. So once the game time started coming around, it definitely picked up more, and that's what actually got a lot better for me. So, and then I try to work on my patience because when you have patient eyes, you can do a lot. Because if you get nosy, balls right over your head, then bad day. So that's another thing. And then definitely my hip mobility, because my hips kind of stiff. I had to fix that up a little bit. But once I got it going, I got it going.
Yeah, I know all about stiff hips, but that's because I'm 41 and overweight. But that's neither here nor there, Jakob. But yeah, like I said, I was super impressed with the way you guys, responded against Olmsted Falls in the playoffs. Because again, it was just, and the way your defense just took control of that second quarter, and it was kind of like you guys were like, all right, let's settle this down. And some of the hits from whether it was linebackers or defensive backs or whatever, you guys were out to inflict some punishment. Is that something you guys kind of get on each other about? Like, hey, man, we need to start hearing pads crack.
Definitely, yeah. We got a motto. We just try to let everybody know who we are. We're trying to make a statement in every single game because we think we got unfinished business to handle. So we just want to make everybody know that we coming. I promise we coming.
You came, man. You guys were there. Trust me. There was a lot of pad cracking.
Jakob, you've been one of the highly recruited underclassmen. I mean, you're only a junior, which is underclassmen. I mean, you've had 7 offers for Big Ten students, including Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois. I mean, the list goes on. You've got a couple from the MAC, the SEC. I mean, what goes through your mind when you see all these offers getting recruited for one of the highly touted schools across the country, and you're seeing some of these big-time coaches coming up to you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very grateful for what I got. I feel that I put all this work in just to get here where I'm at. And now I got a lot of people looking at me, so it's I can't let them down now. So just keep going and keep going.
Hey, Jakob, one thing I'm curious about, a program like Avon, who's always in making deep runs in the playoffs. This extra practice time, I don't think people think about it enough, is very important for the younger guys on the team, getting that extra practice time, knowing what it's like, going into that postseason up against, the varsity squad, the starters. Can you talk about your experience with that and how you think this extra practice time for not only young guys helps keep the Avon program at the top where it is?
Yeah, definitely. So my freshman year, when this time was around, I was playing scout team. I was playing as a Rocco Conti for Oak Falls. That was like my first actual scout team. Like you can just see how much it meant to everybody and how important scout team really is. Like, cause the speed, cause like some defenses you can't, and offenses you can't just the scout team can't do like how what else in the game. But if you go 100% and keep going, it just gets everybody else going. And like in the long run, you enjoy that and you're grateful for that, and you just want it to keep going.
Yeah, and Jacob, what a game in the Wadsworth game. I was there for that. It was rainy right from the get go, but your defense. I mean, what an impact you made right away in this game, forcing a fumble and giving the offense a short field to play with. Is it nice for your defense to know that you have so many offensive weapons like Nolan Good, and then the receiving core is unbelievable that you guys have. You have a receiving core, you have running backs. I know you even got in a little bit on offense. Does that kind of ease your mind a little bit, knowing that they're going to put up some points and that you guys don't? I mean, obviously you don't want to make mistakes on the defensive side of the ball, but when the offense puts up so many points, does that make it a little bit easier on you guys on the defense?
Yeah, definitely. Because we always try to get as many stops as we can and score as many points as we can on defense. Like our goal is always 14 points on defense and hold them to 0. That's always the goal. At least get 14, because we know the offense. If we hold them to 0, hold them to 7, we know this offense can definitely get more than 2 touchdowns. So knowing that we got them on the offensive side is a great, great thing. Because we know if we get the ball, we get a stop. We know they're good on there and get a touchdown.
Well, I know in the Wadsworth game, right away you guys forced a turnover. Talk about your defense versus Wadsworth. I felt like you guys really made a statement early on the defensive side of the ball. You guys clamped down. Didn't see too many balls, that were thrown necessarily your way. But overall, I thought just as a defensive group, I thought you guys really shut down that Wadsworth offense early on, and they struggled offensively to get going.
Yeah, we knew like it's week 3 of the playoffs, so like anything could happen. So we know we definitely had to focus on the little things, the details, pay attention to film a lot. Be mentally locked in the whole week so that we can perform to the best of our ability. Because if you can do that and do everything right, do your 111th, game's gonna go your way.
I'm talking with Avon Junior defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon. Jacob, talk about some of the other players on the defense that really made an impact this season up to this point. Obviously, you have the big offers, and deservedly so. Who are some of the other players that are really helping you out back there?
Yeah, definitely our D line. I love to get the D line props because if they get back there, they get in the quarterback's face. You gotta throw something up. The more they can get back there, he throws it up, it gives you a better chance to get something. I always praise my corners, my DBs. I love them out there. Keep them on an island. So they've been putting in a lot of work. Other safeties, we got a couple of safeties putting in some work. Linebackers are doing great this season, doing great. We got linebackers, a couple offers. Everybody's doing their job. Everybody's doing what they can do, being the best they can be, and 111th is all we can do.
You got that right. I can tell you from experience, and I was not a Division I recruit at all. But I had a pretty decent senior year. I had a lot of interceptions, but that was really all because the defensive line and the front seven didn't.
Yeah.
They got a lot of pressure on there, and they made it real easy. So as a defensive back, I can. Oh yeah, they can see me now. Sorry, this is my son, Eddie. He's going to bed here. I can understand that, Jacob, for sure. Rob.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, you've had such a great season, and really talk about Coach Elder and what he's done for you in the program, because every year it seems like you guys have the athletes, and we've seen it over and over. Kids going to D1 or going to college, whether it's D3, NAIA, they're going all over the place, and you guys just retool every year. How nice is it to be in a program and a culture that Coach Elder set for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, man, because he definitely knows he's been doing this for a while. He definitely knows what he's talking about, and he always tries to keep our head on straight, that you're not better than anyone else just because you got this and that. You're just you just worked hard. Like everyone works hard. We all work hard, no matter how long, no matter who you are, what position you play. Everyone works hard regardless, and he makes sure that we all know that. And it's like also talks about like the things outside of football, like the little things, like like say love you to your mother. So be grateful for everything you got. We take a moment of silence after every game. Go thank your parents. Thank whoever came here to show you. That's like he's a good guy like that.
Absolutely, and he's done it like you said, a long time.
Yeah, he got a lot of connections too to get you around. So.
That's right.
Jacob, looking at the forecast for Friday, we're talking about the real football weather. It's really going to benefit the defense. We're talking rain, cold. Do you guys, how do you feel about that kind of weather? I mean, we've had some rainy Friday nights, but we haven't necessarily had the cold yet. So as a defensive player, are you looking at the weather as a possible asset to what you guys are game planning for Friday?
I mean, definitely. I think it could be because, that's going to – when the rain's coming down, definitely force them just like run the ball more, because they're not going to take as many shots. Also, the wind's going to play a big factor because I heard the wind's going to be pretty bad, so that's going to be a lot. So if we can get some punch outs, we can get some punch outs. Do whatever we can. Probably pound the ball. So hopefully we can knife them down and get this game going.
And we'll get you out of here. This will be the last question we have for you. You're going against obviously a very, very good offense in the Highland Hornets. Without giving anything away, we just talked to them, so we told them the same thing. We don't want any trade secrets going on here. But looking at a team like Highland, what they're able to do offensively, what are some of the things that make Highland a really good team and tough to stop when you're looking at the film?
Yeah, I mean, they got a big old line. Definitely, they block hard. I mean, the Highland's a very physical team. We give them props for that. They got a good backups and good receivers out there. We'll do what we keep doing, shut them down. Hopefully, get it going early. Get this defense rocking, get the offense going. So,
yeah, absolutely. Jacob, thank you for taking the time to join us. We know you had such a great season up to this point. Good luck this week against Highland.
Sure.
And obviously with the college recruiting. I know the last thing you want to think about is next year, but we're looking forward to covering you for another year, even beyond this. But good luck this week against Highland.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks for coming on, Jacob. Appreciate you.
No problem.
That is Avon junior defensive back Jakob Weatherspoon joining us on the high school football recap show, brought to you by Raymond Felton, State Farm Insurance. Make sure you give them a call for a quote on your home, auto, and life insurance.
Wow. I know we're probably going the same direction there, Ed. But those three players that we had on tonight, student athletes, definitely, you could definitely tell that they're coming from really established, good programs, and they're coached up very well. The standard is the standard, so to speak, and got to keep the main thing. Apparently, a lot of coaching cliches there, but those kids are the players that are the cogs in their team's success this year. And just hearing them talk about what they're doing, there wasn't a lot of me. It was team. It was, they know the role as part of the team, and it's something bigger for them. So very impressive with all three players tonight. It's wouldn't want a better game to have Sean be going to this week than have Highland versus Avon. It's going to be awesome.
I would prefer better weather. I heard high winds, rain, and cold. None of those three I like. But
so are you going to have the sniffles for Friday? Are you going to?
Because I love our fans and I love this game and I love this show, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I am ready to go Friday night, 7 o'clock in Elyria. Poncho, gloves, hot chocolate, maybe something a little keep me warm. But yeah, it's going to be good. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it, guys. Let's have a discussion here about what we have on tap. See what I did there? For the regional finals. And sure. I've gone ahead, like I always do, and created a little PowerPoint for us to look at. So we'll just briefly go through the matchups.
He's giddy about it too. Look at him, like a little kid in a candy store.
Listen, I love it. Listen.
Well,
all right.
There we go. Once it gets up here, we will start with Division 1, Region 1, the number 1 seed Menor Cardinals, undefeated Greater Cleveland Conference champions. They will take on the reigning, defending, I think three-time defending, multiple-time overstate champion, the St. Edward Eagles, the number 7 seed. This game will take place at Bedford Bearcat Stadium in Bedford, Ohio. Noah, you're the purveyor of all that is the GCC. What are you looking for in this matchup?
Well, these two teams have met in the regional finals. This is the 4th time that these two teams are meeting in the regional finals. It's just a credit between how these two head coaches have really endorsed their programs going into this season. And for Menor, I mean, like I mentioned, they've been outscoring opponents 95-7 going into the playoffs. That's just a credit to Coach Gray and his defense of how well they've been playing in the playoffs. But now they go up against St. Ed's. I mean, they were coming into the playoffs at 5-5, the number 7 seed. Everyone didn't know what to expect, but they came in kind of like how they were the last 3 years of how they won the state title the last 3 years. Back on offense. I mean, they've been outscoring opponents 112-31, kind of back to the same form they were. And the biggest key for Menor is, can they continue to get that defense like it was Friday night against Caden McKinley? I mean, St. Edwards, they scored 112 points in those 3 playoff games. Coach Gray's defense has got to be ready to go against the St. Edward team that has won 3 straight championships. And the last time St. Edwards lost in a playoff game, it was against a GCC opponent. So, can Menor spoil St. Edwards' possible 4P state championships? That's the biggest question. And for Scotty Fox and that offense, can they continue to be the way that they have always been on that offense? But it really starts with Jackson Farley. I mean, what a game that he had Friday night against Cam McKinley. He had 169 yards and a touchdown. Can they continue to score on the ground game a little bit with that help with that offensive line? So I feel like those are the biggest keys going into Friday night's biggest matchup between number 1 seed in Menor and number 7 seed St. Edwards for the 4th time these two teams are meeting in the regional finals.
I think it's going to be very interesting because I think for the first time in about 3 years, St. Ed's and the St. Ed's fans are not going to like me for this. I think St. Ed's is gettable. I think I'm not saying that Menor's going to roll, but I'm saying we've seen this game happen, and we've seen the St. Ed's team be far better than the team they're playing. I don't think that's the case this year. I think Menor is really starting to put something special together here. And if they play the way they've been playing these last couple weeks, I don't think so. I think they got a shot to beat St. Ed's. I'm not making a prediction. I just think looking at what St. Ed's is right now and looking at the way Menor is playing on all 3 phases of the game, I think there's a real good shot that Menor comes out of this. And that would be fun to have a little bit of change. Everyone likes, a little bit of change coming out of Region 1. Obviously, St. Ed's is that, and like Ed always says, St. Ed's is the champion until they're beat. I just think they're gettable. I think they're a gettable team, and I think Menor may be the team to get them.
It's gonna be this is gonna be a battle.
The new grade H+.
H+, okay.
Little Eddie agrees.
Has weighed in. He's weighed in, folks.
Well, he says this game's gonna be H+. This will be
That's
H+.
that stands for high quality rating.
That's right. Can't go wrong with that.
No doubt. And actually, we do have, on YouTube, we have a guy from St. Ed's, or I believe, it's James is watching our show, and he said, go St. Ed's. And then we have a lot of Avon faithful here on YouTube commenting about Jakob Weatherspoon in that interview and getting ready for what we're going to say with that game coming up.
Well,
and real quick, getting back to this game, because spoiler here, this is the game I'll be heading to. This will be played in Bedford. Looking forward to this one. And Sean, I agree with you. Now looking at quickly, Ed's coming back, 5-5 going into the playoffs, but their schedule was very, very tough.
Yeah.
In fact, their last 2 regular season games, they played against Archbishop Hoban and Archbishop Moeller, teams with a combined record of 23-3. So they lost both of those games, but they kind of found their way back in the playoffs. Menor's been rolling all season. So this is a battle of behemoths. And but I agree with you, Sean. I think if this is the year to get Eds, this would be it. And I think Mentor might be that team.
Dum dum dum.
All right, well,
I agree. I agree with you there. To your point, the 4 Ohio teams that St. Ed's has lost to, they are all still playing. All of them. Glenville, Massillon, Moeller, and Hoban. They are all still in the playoffs right now. So that speaks. Love you too, bud. That speaks to the level of competition that St. Ed's has played, and I think that this game's gonna be fantastic. There's nothing more needs to be said that hasn't already been said about this game. All right, we'll do a quick shout out here. Walsh Jesuit versus Archbishop Hoban, the 1 and the 2 seed. This is a rematch of, I believe, a week 9 game between Walsh and Hoban, which was won by Walsh, 19-14. Walsh got the win there. Kellen Moten has been fantastic for Walsh Jesuit this year. A lot of people have said that Walsh Jesuit might be the best team in the state, regardless of their division. And it's tough to beat Hoban once. The question is, can they do it twice?
Well, one thing's for sure, Ed, in this game, they're going to be running the ball, both teams. If you just look at last week in the regional semifinals, Hoban as a team rushed for 386 yards. Walsh Jesuit as a team rushed for 429 yards. And when the weather that they're talking about is not conducive for passing, you know you're going to be running the ball. So I hope the defensive line and offensive line got their bootstraps up and ready to get going in this one, because I think it's going to be a lot of heavy running and a lot of physical offense and defensive line play.
Walsh Jesuit comes into this game undefeated at 13-0. Hoban comes into this game 11-2. One of those defeats to Walsh Jesuit. Sorry, that was a week 7 contest. So a lot of time has passed, but nothing but victories for both teams. This game will be played at Twinsburg. All right, this is the game we're probably going to spend the most time on, and rightfully so. Sean's going to be at this game, going to be played in Elyria. The number 1 seed, Avon Eagles. The number 2 seed, Highland Hornets. The behemoth teams, behemoth programs. We've seen this game played out multiple times in Division II, Region 6, including last year. The only thing I'll say about it, and I'll leave it to Rob and Sean to have the conversation after this. Nolan Good did not play in this game last year. He was injured. So I'm looking forward to see. So I know he's pumped up for this game. Highland didn't have to see him last year. Now, the flip side of that is that Avon didn't have to see this. It's stunningly great offense and this murder, death, kill defense, to quote Carson Noonan, that Highland has. So, I mean, you kind of, just putting that last year's context out there, let's start with Rob from the Avon side of things. What do you think Avon needs to do to be successful in this game against Highland?
Well, first, I think both these teams are pretty similar. I mean, both really good defenses, and offensively, they have weapons all over the place. Avon, I think what makes them dangerous, and one thing I noticed this last week versus Wadsworth is, Nolan Good can run the football, but he also has the ability to pass. They ran it when they needed to, but even in the rain, I mean, he passed quite a bit. I mean, 172 yards passing. He had Matt Maxey catching balls all over the place, and they have a bunch of other wide receivers who are just impressive. You can't really cover one guy. But Keontae Smith, the running back, this guy has really stormed onto the scene, and he's a shifty back that's really quick. He sees a hole. He's going to run through it and fast, so you have to really contain these guys in the backfield. But if he's not running the ball, Tyler Kaufman's another guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, but they're going to give him the ball. You just don't know. They have different backs that they maneuver in there, and then when it's not there, sometimes Nolan Good's going to run himself, and he's got some wheels. So I think you really have to somehow contain this offense and slow down the game, because if it gets out of control, I thought, in the Wadsworth game, it got out of control a little bit early. Whether the defense forced turnovers, short field for Avon's offense, and when they are given a short field, to work with, they're going to score usually. So you can't turn the ball over if you want a chance to beat Avon. They're just too good. And I think they learned a lot from that Olmsted Falls game, in talking to Coach Elder and some of the players. They learned a lot from that game. That you got to be careful with the football. You can't rest too easy and come out slow, or it can hurt you, especially in the playoffs.
Everything you just said, Rob, I completely agree with, and I can apply it right to the Highland side of things as well, but I will substitute a few names for you. Last year, this defense held Avon in check for most part of the game. It got away from it at the end. I think this defense is head and shoulders better than the defense of last year. I think the recipe for the win for Highland is going to be a combination of letting Casey Miser do what he's been doing all year. And he doesn't need to put on a heroic effort. He could, and he very much might, but he doesn't need to be heroic because they have guys that can also tote the rock and surprise Avon's defense, because Dylan Borla is able to run this ball. And I think, Josh, thank you so much for pointing out the weather, because I think that's going to play a huge factor in this game, because now you've kind of, if the winds are howling, you're not going to want to put the ball in the air and take that opportunity. And now it's about which team, better yet, which line, defense and offense, can gain ground. And that's where these two teams are so evenly matched. Highland's defensive line versus Avon's offensive line, and Highland's offensive line versus Avon defensive line, they are roughly the same thing. And that's going to be the game within the game. Which of those offensive and defensive lines can impose their will, and how can they affect the game? I really do look for Highland to be maybe a little bit surprising. And again, Ed, that's a good point that Nolan Good did not play last year. And that's a player that has that versatility that we talked about. But again, Avon is a team that I saw with my own eyes go down 21-0 and then came back in a matter of a quarter. So adversity is no stranger to Avon this year. Same thing with Highland. Highland has been pretty much controlling every game they played. Let's see what happens when they get into a bit of a fist fight here. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see how Highland responds if it comes down to that. But again, I was expecting roughly the same thing against Aurora and Highland, and look what happened there. Highland just came in and ran it and didn't do anything different, but just ran and executed their game plan to the best of their ability. This is such a fun game to look forward to. I'm so excited to head out to Elyria to watch this game, because I think this will be the marquee matchup of the week. I know we're talking Menor and St. Ed's, but let's be honest, these two teams are so evenly matched that I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bonus football. Football. Yeah. I'm not saying that I don't want to make predictions, but if this thing goes into overtime, I'll be the first one to say I'm not shocked about it, because these teams are so evenly matched, so well coached, and these two teams are legitimately rooted in Northeast Ohio high school football, and it's a perfect matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they're both evenly matched. I think Avon's defense has really stepped up this year, too. I think it's a lot different than it was last year. Jakob Weatherspoon, who we just talked to, I mean, he's been locking guys down, and they've had a lot of teams have trouble passing on him, so they try to go to the other side, and these guys are making plays. Up front, Avon's defensive line is a pretty physical defensive line. They're moving all over the place. Versus Wazzer, trying to confuse the offensive line, and I thought they filled gaps really well. So they're going to have to do that again, because we know how physical Highland is. They love to run the ball, but this year, like you said, they're passing really well, and both teams are doing it. So who's going to do it better on Friday night? This is going to be an absolute great game. I hope it's packed at Elyria, because they have a great facility there to watch some great high school football. And I know they had, I think, St. Ed's there last week. So this week it's number 1 Avon and number 2 Highland. Fill the stands, because it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, this game will be played in Elyria. This game has been played in multiple locations. It's been played in Brunswick. I'm sure it's been played in Strongsville before. So Elyria, I think this is the first time this game would be played in Elyria in the playoffs. So make sure you're following us again live on X / Twitter at SOT Podcast for the live updates and video footage for that game. All right, we'll briefly touch on Division 3, Region 9. The number 1 seed, the Youngstown Ursuline Fighting Irish, taking on the Gilmore Academy Lancers. Yeah, they're still the Lancers. This game, 1 versus 2 seed. Ursuline's only loss is to Walsh Jesuit. Gilmore's only loss is to Villa Angela St. Joe's. This game will be played in Ravenna. And I don't know too much about these teams, but from what we saw with Youngstown Ursuline versus Aurora, if Gilmore doesn't play a perfect game, Ursuline will probably come out on top. Although I would probably venture to say the same thing. I mean, Ursuline's only loss, again, was to Walsh Jesuit week 1 by 2 points. So that's a very, very legitimate team. Gilmore Academy, they had some pretty good wins on their schedule with hold on a sec. Ursuline beat St. Joe's, whereas Gilmore lost to St. Joe's. So that's the one common opponent that they had there. So Ursuline versus Gilmore, 1 versus 2 matchup in Ravenna. In Division 3, Region 10, the number 1 seed, the defending champions, Toledo Central Catholic. They will be taking on Padua. This game will be played in Sandusky. We are quite familiar with Sandusky. Those of us from Brunswick who had got the pleasure of driving out there on Friday nights multiple times to play the Blue Streaks. Central Catholic, they play half their teams against Michigan opponents, but they win 100% of the time, usually when they play. Padua, coming into this game, they came in at 5-5, but their losses are some pretty good teams. They lost to Perkins. They're still playing. Lake Catholic, they were playing up until this most recent game where they lost to Glenville. No shame there. They lost to Walsh. That's going to happen. Holy Name, that's a rivalry game. So Holy Name's record does not matter in that game. And then Sandusky, they had to go to Sandusky before, and they weren't successful in that trip. So we'll see if Roderick Love can keep his season going. The tremendous undersized running back, according to his coach, going up against a really good Toledo Central Catholic squad. And then Division 4, Region 14, Sandusky Perkins, the number 1 seed. They're going to take on number 3 Ontario. And Ontario won an absolute war with Shelby last week, 49-48. That game was that's one of the better games you're going to see. So the Warriors are going to be taking on Sandusky Perkins. That game will be played at Tiffin, Columbia. Ontario is 12-1. Perkins is also 12-1. So that's going to do it for our coverage of high school football this week. I want to do one more as we normally do. Then I'm going to tee something up for Noah here shortly. Down in Northern Virginia, the number 5 seed Patriot Lions, they defeated number 4 Gainesville 19-14. They will advance in their regional playoffs. They will take on number 1 seed Battlefield, a 42-7 victory over Gar-Field. The reason why I say Gar-Field because it's Gar-Field, and I can't get past that, so I'm going to say it every time I see it. Go with the Patriots over against Battlefield this year. Also going on Friday night, in addition to our coverage of high school football, again, we will be at the Division 1 Region 1 Championship, Mentor versus St. Ed's at Bedford. Josh has that covered. Sean will be at Division 2 Region 6 Championship, number 1 Avon versus number 2 Highland in Elyria. Follow us on at SOT Podcast on X to get the updates on those. Noah, you're going to be out and about in a different setting this week. What are you going to be up to this Friday night?
Well, guys, with 2 weeks left to go in the high school football season, and time flies when you're having fun, but the work doesn't stop because we got big things coming up ahead. Dr. Hoops is going to be back Friday night, and I'm not going to spoil wherever I'm going to be, kind of like how Rob and Sean are kind of spoiling where these guys are going to these games this week. But yeah, I'll be back Friday night on the hard one, and it's hard to believe that we are back in the basketball season here, folks. And I can't wait to provide the best coverage in Northeast Ohio and right here at Sports on Tap. And, make sure to follow us on Twitter/X to see where I will be heading out Friday night. And I can't wait to see all the student sections hyped up, ready to go in the hype videos and get ready for the start of the high school basketball season. I just can't wait to get there at the start of Friday night and just make sure you stay tuned on Friday night to see where I will be heading.
And make sure, if you're at a game and you see Noah Jacobson, go up to him, get a picture. He loves signing autographs. I mean, Dr. Hoops is a big deal now. It's a huge
and
deal.
Who knows? I might come out with a Dr. Hoops for Friday night. So,
oh
make
man,
sure you stay tuned.
Look out!
Look out! Here I come.
Hey, Dr. Hoops adding another dimension to Sports on Tap coverage, as he did as he was really involved with last year and definitely in past years. But we look forward to some really, really awesome coverage from Dr. Hoops here in the high school basketball scene. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, we will be starting to cover the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League very shortly as well. So once the calendar turns to December, there may be some opportunities to see some high school hockey live on our YouTube channel. More details of that to come in the coming weeks.
I'd like to give one shout out to, if I could, real quick, gentlemen. So yes, I got the latest. You can't actually see it because of my background, but I got the latest issue of Sports Illustrated, and yes, I actually do still read the magazine. That's a magazine for all you young kids out there. We read these.
So you're the guy. You're the one guy that's still. Okay.
I love it. I'm consider me old school, but I always like to look at faces in the crowd. I want to give a shout out to Tessa Knapp, soccer player from Bay High School. Senior forward from Bay High scored 3 goals in a 7-0 defeat of Padua High School to break the state career scoring record of 193. 1 week later, she scored twice in a 3-0 win over Notre Dame Academy to become the first boy or girl in the state of Ohio history to score 200 goals.
Wow.
She's a Notre Dame commit, and Knapp was named to the Ohio Gatorade Girls Soccer Player of the Year, and she's only a junior. So I want to give her a shout out because I thought that's pretty cool. It's always cool to see local talent in Sports Illustrated faces the crowd.
SOT extra.
They did win this, and Josh, they did win the state championship game against Highland. So congratulations to the Bay girls soccer team for winning the state championship this year.
Well, there you go.
That game was 1-0, and it was won with 12 seconds left in the game.
Unreal.
Knapp, this was I think this was like the first game all year she didn't score a goal in, but she got the game-winning assist. She passed it to Maya Holmes to get the win for Bay Village. That's their 4th girls state soccer championship.
Wow.
So not only is Tessa Knapp putting up numbers, her team obviously highly successful. So great job, Josh. That's a fantastic shout out.
Absolutely.
And let's this be a lesson. Never forget to read paper, my friends. Always keep your mind right.
I just got rid of this. I think it was last year. I got rid of my Sports Illustrated. I was getting the physical copies too, and it was fantastic. I still get the plain dealer on Wednesdays and Sundays, so I'm the old man on Sundays still reading my newspaper. As long as that is still happening, I will never not have the newspaper to read. They tried getting me a 20% discount to go on computer. Absolutely not. I need something physical to read on Sunday mornings. I've been doing it for as long as I could read. So that's a little bit older than Noah is, just slightly.
Nice.
All right, with that, for Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Josh Jeffy, Professor Hype, Sean Duffy, make sure you're following us on Twitter/X at SOT Podcast. You're going to get all sorts of updates this Friday night from Mentor and St. Ed's, Avon and Highland, and wherever Noah is going to be for high school basketball.
And come back this next Monday night for game recaps and video highlights. You want to see that? It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
We will have with that, Rob. We will also have a few other student athletes come on.
Yeah.
That'll be yet to be determined, but make sure again follow us on Twitter and check out our website to get the latest updates for who we will be having on our show next Monday, starting at 7:30. All right, this has been the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show presented by State Farm. Presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance in beautiful Hudson, Ohio. You've been watching this on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Sports on Tap. You're listening to us on Spotify at Sports on Tap, Threads at SOT_podcast, and our website is sportsontap.podcast.com. My name is Ed.
Ed, just speaking of Spotify, make sure you go on there and check out Robin Noah's interview with Columbus Blue Jackets play-by-play man Steve Mears. Great interview. Really sat down for over 40 minutes with Sports on Tap. It was really awesome to hear some of the things that he has to say about not only the Blue Jackets, but his time at Bowling Green and among other topics. So make sure you head on Spotify or YouTube and check that interview out.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Absolutely. We want to thank Steve for coming on for talking with us as well. We're pretty lucky that we with some of the play-by-play announcers from some of our favorite teams that we've been blessed to talk to.
Absolutely.
We're pretty fortunate to be able to talk to some of these folks that thousands upon thousands of people listen to on a nightly basis when their teams are playing.
So this is an open invitation to Tom Hamilton. If you'd like to come on, that'd be awesome.
Please.
Shameless begging.
Big fans here. Just saying.
With that, my name is Dick. This is Sports on Tap. Tom Hamilton, hopefully we'll see you on the other side.
See ya. Thanks for watching. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.